Good to have you on. We always appreciate the time. Let's talk in a moment here about what to expect from the president's address here. But first, can we get your thoughts on the developments that we saw today in Washington, D.C.? Sort of surprising here, where we saw 4 House Republicans joining with Democrats to force this vote on extending Affordable Care Act credits. What does this signal about how important this issue of health care costs is going to be, not just for Democrats, but for Republicans as well?
Oh, it's an important issue, Alex, and we are turning the corner now after January 1 to 2026. And what is happening in 2026? It's the midterms. And so a lot of these Republicans are going to start thinking about whether they want to side with the president or whether they want to take on some of their constituents in their own districts. And you're going to see more defections over time on more issues, because that's history. That's what happens every single time. The record of an incumbent president in their first term, and of course, Donald Trump has served before, but this first new term, the midterms often show that the party that's out of office gains seats. And so for some of these Republicans, they're going to want to go back to their districts and say, hey, I did what was right for the American people, not just what was right for the President of the United States.
Well, the president addresses the nation in less than 2 hours, Brian. Affordability and economic concerns appear to be top of mind with the public right now. How do you think he'll tackle those topics tonight?
I think what he's going to say is, and I have not seen an advanced draft, I think he's going to talk about how his message has been, I think, taken apart a little bit by his opponents, that he has not had unfiltered access to the American people through the media. I think his address tonight, Frank and Alex, is to speak directly to the American people about his economic accomplishments. Now, there's going to be a lot of debate about what he says tonight and whether the statistics, the metrics that he uses are accurate, and whether the economy is doing as well as he's going to say it is doing. But I think he's going to tackle the economy because he has to. American history shows over and over again that the economy trumps anything else, including oftentimes a president who may have come off a victory in a war, such as George Herbert Walker Bush. He lost to Bill Clinton on the issue of the economy after doing so well in the first Gulf War.
Yeah, it always comes back to the economy, and clearly the president and the White House know that that is the issue that's top of mind right now. I was reminded here of this interview that the president did just last week with Politico when he was asked about how he thought he was doing on the economy. He told the interviewer that he would give himself an A+++.
Yes.
Is there a disconnect here? And is the president going to be able to convey in this address tonight that he understands that Americans are struggling with higher prices?
He needs to take that head on tonight, Alex, if he knows what's good for him. And I think you shorted him a couple of pluses.
I might have. I'll check my notes.
But having said that, yes, there is a disconnect. I think Donald Trump has a view of the world, a view of the United States that may not be in concert with a lot of people in the United States. We have to remember that half the voting public generally are Democrats. So he isn't connecting with them in the first place. And then you've got Republicans. And so you've got a bifurcated electorate. And so there's a lot of people who say, hey, I'm not doing great in this economy. And Donald Trump is saying, oh, the economy is fantastic. He's got to make his case tonight to Democrats, to Republicans, that he has a handle on the economy, and he's going to put forth some of the, as I say, or said earlier, the metrics to prove his point.
And Brian, a recent Reuters poll this month had the president's overall approval rating down around 40%, 39%. How often does a presidential address actually change public opinion versus reinforcing existing views?
Frank, there's always a bump, but the bump doesn't typically last very long, because people say, oh, that was a great speech, and I believe what he said, and then they go back to their lives. Right. And their lives don't necessarily mirror what they heard during a presidential address. So there will be a bump, but it's unlikely that the bump will last. And until some of these conditions change in the economy, it's going to be a struggle for the president on a number of fronts.
Yeah, even beyond the economy, a lot of other pressing issues on the
Oh
president's
my gosh,
plate.
yes. The whole Venezuelan situation,
Yeah,
and
we'll
on
see.
and on.
Yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
how he addresses the escalating
Yes.
tensions with Venezuela here in this address tonight. We appreciate the analysis. Always good to have you on, political analyst Brian Sobel. And by the way, we will be bringing you that address to the nation from President Trump tonight, coming up at 6 o'clock. Brian, thank you for the time. Good to see you.
Good to see you, gentlemen, and we'll chat later.
All right,
Thank you,
sounds
Brian.
good. Warner Brothers Discovery is rejecting the multi